This is 2023's Eileen. Warning, spoilers ahead. The film starts with Eileen sitting in her car, watching a couple of teenagers kissing passionately in another car. Feeling restless, she opens the door, grabs a handful of snow, and starts doing some 18-plus things. Eileen drives home to her alcoholic father, Jim Dunlop, a retired cop. Since the death of their mother, he's been drowning in depression and self-pity. She heads upstairs and devours a huge stash of chocolates until she falls asleep. At least chocolate doesn't judge. Later, Eileen goes to work at a boys' correction facility. The secretary, Mrs. Murray, calls her useless and asks her to go wake up Dr. Fry. Then Eileen checks the mothers visiting the boys to ensure they don't bring anything suspicious. While waiting, she slips her hand under her pants and imagines Randy, a young police officer, rushing to make love to her in public. Apparently, work safety checks get Eileen's imagination going. As Eileen exits the building, she notices a farewell party for Dr. Fry, who's being replaced by some young woman. After work, Eileen stops by a shop for alcohol. A cop at the till asks about her father and pays for her drink as a Christmas gift. She returns home to find her dad drunk and causing a scene outside. Another cop helps get him inside. Jim scolds her for being useless and praises her older sister, saying she's actually accomplished something. Eileen snaps back that her sister is married and couldn't care less about their father. Festive holiday chats, where insults are the wrapping paper. The next morning, while taking out the trash, Eileen spots a red car pulling up. Curious, she watches as an elegant woman steps out. It's their new psychologist, Rebecca. Later, Rebecca is introduced to the staff. Fresh from Harvard, she notices Eileen standing alone and approaches her. Later, Eileen shows Rebecca to her locker. They make small talk, and Rebecca mentions that she also studied in Cambridge but got bored of it. Soon after, Mrs. Murray presents the Christmas play. When some boy insults one of the actors, an officer grabs the boy and a fight breaks out. Rebecca takes notes and quietly leaves. Christmas spirit. Fists before fruitcake. On the way home, Eileen buys cigarettes and alcohol. Back at home, she tells her dad about her day. He brings up a boy in prison, Lee Polk, who killed his father in front of his mother. Later, Eileen stares at Lee in his cell. She goes to view the crime scene photos, but Rebecca suddenly appears, causing Eileen to drop the pictures. The two talk about the Christmas play. Rebecca finds it more like a punishment than entertainment. They smoke and chat about bad habits. Eileen asks if Rebecca is afraid of the imprisoned boys. Rebecca, unfazed, invites Eileen to visit her at work sometime. Mrs. Polk, Lee's mother, arrives for a meeting with her son and Rebecca, but rushes out in tears after just a minute, calling her son filthy and nasty. Family reunions, where tears are the appetizers. Afterward, Rebecca takes Lee to her office, but forgets her notebook. Eileen goes to return it. Rebecca invites Eileen out for drinks that evening. Eileen dresses in her best outfit and meets Rebecca at the bar. Rebecca is impressed with Eileen's appearance. She orders beer and whiskey for both of them. Eileen explains she's been working in the prison for 3 years. It was supposed to be temporary, but her father's alcoholism and her mother's death made her stay permanent. Rebecca shares that she was raised by her uncle in New England, but enjoys the gritty reality of this town. She also mentions a difficult professor at Harvard who experimented on prisoners. A couple of men try to flirt with them, but Rebecca introduces herself as Eileen and Eileen as Rebecca. One of the men, Jerry, is missing some teeth, but Rebecca jokingly toasts to his dental health. Rebecca, turning toothless charm into comedy gold. They dance together, surprising the men. One man tries to take Rebecca to dance, but she refuses. When he insists, she elbows him sharply and continues dancing with Eileen. Outside, Rebecca admires Eileen's face and kisses her before leaving. Because nothing ends a wild night like a surprise kiss. Eileen, still impressed, heads back to the bar and orders a whiskey. By morning, she wakes up in her car outside the house, sleeping in her own vomit. When she knocks on the window and asks her dad to let her in, Jim coldly ignores her. Eileen finally manages to get inside. She asks her dad for the car keys, but he refuses and starts throwing random objects at her, calling her trash. Eileen explains she just went out with a girl from work, but Jim doesn't believe her. He demands to know which boy she was really with and criticizes the dress she's wearing, a dress that belonged to Eileen's mother and was worn at his father's funeral. Who knew sentimental fashion choices would lead to this much drama? While Eileen cleans her car, a local cop stops by to inform her that Jim was seen pointing a gun at children through the window the day before. He asks Eileen if she can take responsibility for Jim's gun. She reluctantly agrees. Eileen arrives at work late, but she's in a good mood, hoping to see Rebecca. However, she's informed that Rebecca won't be back until Christmas. On her way to the infirmary, Eileen sneaks into Rebecca's office and lays down on her desk. She falls asleep and wakes up in the evening. Nap time at work, the ultimate dream, and the quickest way to get fired. When Eileen returns home, she finds her father lying upstairs covered in blood. At the hospital, a doctor informs her that Jim's blood alcohol level is at 1.7, and if he stops drinking abruptly, he might die. Despite Eileen's care when they return home, Jim keeps nagging and mumbling. They both end up sharing a drink, and Jim reminisces about his wife, explaining how much they loved each other. He cruelly tells Eileen that she'll never experience true love because she's just a space filler. While taking a bath later, the phone rings. It's Rebecca, asking if Eileen wants to celebrate Christmas together. Eileen eagerly agrees. When she arrives at Rebecca's place, Rebecca greets her at the door. Eileen brought wine, and Rebecca shows off a trick she learned at Harvard to open the bottle. Rebecca reveals she has no roommates and playfully screams into the air. They chat, and Eileen admits she never finished college, claiming she's just a normal person. Rebecca doesn't agree. While Rebecca searches for food, Eileen goes to the bathroom to calm herself down and look good before dinner. When Eileen returns, Rebecca has found only cheese and salted cucumbers to eat. Rebecca then reveals she has something serious to share, but makes Eileen promise to keep it a secret. Rebecca explains she wanted to understand what led Lee Polk to kill his father. Rebecca is curious about how someone could want to kill their father. Eileen responds by saying that everyone has thought about it. That's when Rebecca confesses they aren't at her house. Mrs. Polk is tied up downstairs. Cue dramatic plot twist! And probably a violation of about a dozen laws. As Eileen prepares to leave, Rebecca stops her and explains what happened. During a meeting, Lee revealed that his father molested him and his mother knew about it. Rebecca went to confront Mrs. Polk, but when Mrs. Polk attacked her, Rebecca tied her up. Rebecca called Eileen as a witness and asks for help. Eileen retrieves her dad's gun from the car and they go to the basement. Rebecca just wants the truth, but Mrs. Polk refuses to cooperate. She starts saying nasty things about Jim Dunlop, which enrages Eileen enough to aim the gun at her. Mrs. Polk finally starts talking. She explains that she initially thought her husband was just checking on their son at night. They hadn't been intimate since Lee's birth, but one night her husband came to her and started kissing her and holding her. She liked it. One night, she got up for water and saw her husband molesting their son. Although horrified, she decided to help him because it rekindled her feelings for him. She began bathing Lee before bed and giving him enemas, fully aware it was wrong but feeling powerless to stop. This whole situation sounds like it belongs in a horror movie rather than a therapy session. Disturbing doesn't even begin to cover it. Suddenly, Eileen shoots Mrs. Polk. Rebecca runs over to help and gives Mrs. Polk sleeping pills. Eileen suggests making it look like her father committed the crime, as he's always drunk and armed. After the cover-up, she and Rebecca would head to New York together. Eileen drives the body to her house while Rebecca stays behind to clean up. When Eileen arrives home, her father is asleep. She grabs some money and waits for Rebecca, but soon realizes Rebecca isn't coming. She drives to a forest, leaves the car with the body inside, hitchhikes, and disappears. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more like this one. Comment what you think I should watch next, and I'll see you in the next video.